The knockout stages of the European Championship is upon us. Time for the market principles to flex their muscles, the dark horses to kick on, and the surprise packages to deliver. This is Betting Weekly Extra Time, Euro 2024 edition. You're with Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Steve Wyss and James Eastham. A futures recap, first of all, gentlemen. England, plus 350 favourites. Stop laughing, everybody. Spain, plus 450. Germany and France both plus 550 and Portugal plus 650. Look, it's a lopsided draw, Steve. We know that the odds are massively skewed because of it. Teams aren't in the slots that everyone thought that they would be for one reason or another. And although England have been pretty stinky, they are the favourites. What do you make of the futures as it stands going into the knockout stages?
Well, clearly the bookies know that it's coming home, don't they? So, we might not be as confident as them. But, look, it's one of those weird quirks in sport where a team can actually not be that impressive and almost play worse as the matches go on. But because of the draw nature of the competition, then England are the favourites because there's a clear discrepancy between the top half and the bottom half of the draw here at Euro 2024. We've got a section including Germany, Portugal, France, Belgium, Spain. And then the bottom half, you got England, Italy. England, in terms of on paper, the quality, the depth, they are far better, really, than any other side in their section. So, by logic, they are absolutely rightful favourites in that section to make the final. They should make the final from that position, which in turn makes them the favourites outright because other teams are going to knock each other out in the top half. So, that's the simple reason why I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this show and how can England be favourites after what they've done? It's because of the draw. Simple as that.
It is. And the weird thing is, if England got to the final, they almost certainly would not be the favourites to win a final. James, what do you make of it at the moment? France at a plus 550. They are bigger than they were at the start of the tournament. They've not had a great group stage. Obviously, they didn't manage to win their section. What do you make of the outrights?
Yeah, Steve's absolutely right. It's far less, in some cases, to do with how teams have played and far more to do with the draw. So you've had some teams move quite a lot and others not move much at all. I think that we haven't seen teams perform, in some cases, as well as we thought they might across all three matches. But honestly, my view on it at this stage is that it can all change very quickly. And the group stages are often very quickly forgotten. France manager Didier Deschamps, he hasn't got a lot right at this tournament so far, but one thing I do think he's got right, Dan, is he said before the knockout stage, a new tournament begins now, and he's absolutely right about that. So the minute a team plays well here, or plays badly here, we tend to forget how the group stages have gone, which is a bit of a paradox, because there's so many games in the group stage. We've only got a third of the fixtures left, haven't we? But this is where the real stuff begins. And it can change very quickly. People's perceptions of who's doing well and who's doing badly will change very quickly. So, yeah, the prices at the moment, they do make sense to me. But as Steve says, don't focus purely on how teams play. You've got to look at the draw now as well.
Tailor the tape after the group games. If you've backed the draws, if you back both teams to score, yes. If you're on the unders, you're on winning trends. Steve, I know that you highlighted under tournament goals at the start of the competition. Might have been a bit concerned after the first few match days, but things have settled down. And in terms of goals, although we've had early goals in games, we've not had lots of goals in games. There's been an awful lot of unders over the course of the last week of the tournament, getting beyond those first few group matches.
Yeah, eventually the tournament goals has come to what the levels I expected. I was very concerned early on. In fact, there was even one position I bottled it and I cashed out of one. Because the goals in the initial games were kind of alarmingly crazy. But what's happened is it's settled down now. And this is why it's been a difficult tournament for a lot of bettors, because early on, everyone's saying getting on the goals bandwagon, things like that. And then the goals have settled down, so people have been stung that way. It's been a challenging tournament. I really don't know that many out there have been winning consistently. There's been ups and downs. It's been like a roller coaster, really. And I think it's just an example of you've got to take each game as it comes. The final round of fixtures especially was very disappointing, I must say, from a footballing perspective and potentially a betting perspective. It was a damp squib and an advocate for the tournament to go back to 16 teams.
Just before we get into the round of 16 matches, and we've got 6 plays from the boys across 4 games, but we are going to cover all 8 games for you. Any features that you want to add? Any team that you might want to add, Steve, going into the knockout stages? You know, we talked about the bottom half of the draw. Should we be adding an Austria at 18-1, a Switzerland at plus 3,300, Italy maybe? Anything that you think, actually, no, I need to get involved now for something that'll take me through to the final potentially?
You've got to look at that bottom half of the draw. I mean, for example, Denmark. If Denmark are to win the competition, they're going to have to beat Germany, probably Spain, probably then France or Portugal, and then the final. It's not going to happen. Let's be honest. That's just going to take far too much out of you at some stage. So the bottom half of the draw, I think the teams that I would be looking at are Austria, Turkey, possibly Switzerland. Pick a team in that bottom half that you like. I mean, it might be someone might like the Netherlands. There might be the odd person out there who likes Romania. It wouldn't be me. But you've got to be sensible, and that's the best route to the final for most teams.
Anything that you might add, James? I mean, should we be looking at the bottom half of the draw, or do you think, hang on, well, if France get it together here, they're a bigger price than they were at the start of the tournament? Anything that we should be looking at as far as you're concerned?
Well, I think here at Bet Rivers, Dan, we're on a pretty good spread of teams from our anti-post pre-tournament picks. We've got a stack of sides in the tougher part of the draw that we're on as a collective. Portugal are in our mix, Germany and France as well. And you've got to think that although obviously all but one of those teams eventually are going to get knocked out, we might well be on a winner there. So no, not for me. I think Steve's absolutely right. If you're going to add one at this stage, makes a lot of sense to look at the England side of the draw and then go for one of the longer price teams in that side of the draw who could give you a run to the semi-finals, maybe even the final. And of course, at that stage, you maybe don't even need them to win it. You can then look to lay off or maybe back who they're playing, something like that. So that would be the way I play it. But personally, no, for me at the moment, I wouldn't be looking to get back into the outright market.
Let's start our roundup of the last 16 games, shall we? We are going to go in time order. So first up, Switzerland versus Italy, which is Saturday midday. We're in Berlin for this one. Switzerland a plus 230, Italy a plus 148. 2 group runners up here, A versus B. The Swiss are 33-1 to win the tournament. Italy, of course, the defending champions, are plus 1,600. Shout out to Fox Fee, who's a regular contributor to our YouTube comments, who gave Italy a good word ahead of the tournament, and also tells me that Switzerland have not beaten Italy in 31 years. He likes Italy, he likes Turkey as well. Incidentally, he's gone in again on the futures. But I think everyone is maybe looking to oppose Italy here. So, James, your pick, I think, will resonate with an awful lot of bettors for the first round of 16 match.
Yes, I'm very happy to back Switzerland here, Dan, on the Asian handicap. My pick is Switzerland plus 0.25 on the Asian handicap at minus 132. So with this pick, as long as Switzerland avoid defeat in 90 minutes, then you're going to make a profit. And it's one of those bets which is almost too obvious, actually, because Switzerland are clear underdogs here. They're plus 230 to win the game in 90 minutes, whereas Italy are much shorter at plus 148. But actually, if you look at the group stage, I don't think there's any reason why Switzerland should be that much bigger to win the match than Italy. I thought they played really well across their 3 matches. They got a point against Germany and were very well organised in that game. I think they'll gain a lot of confidence from the performance and the result there. And it's potentially a good trial run for this match as well, where they're going into it as underdogs. May need to defend for long spells, but I don't think there's any reason why they should feel like underdogs. Italy didn't play particularly well in the group stage. They've won only one of their 3 games, so I don't see a huge difference here. A couple of points I would pull out as important. One is I actually think Switzerland have got a much stronger squad than people give them credit for. I think if you look at the players they can bring off the bench, especially in attack, you've got people like Amdouni, Duar, Vargas might start on the bench. They're not world beaters, but they do challenge a defence. And I think if Briel Embolo were to start, really good striker. Steve and I have seen a lot of him playing for Monaco. If he was to get tired after 60 or 70 minutes, I think Switzerland do have attacking players they can bring on and ask questions of the Italy defence. So that plays into my thinking on Switzerland being a really tough proposition here for Italy. And the second factor is that Calafiori is suspended. That's a big loss for Italy and makes them a little bit more vulnerable. I would say one factor I think in favour of Italy is Donnarumma. I've been impressed with him in goal for Italy. We know he's pretty poor with his feet. We've seen that at club level as well, but he's looked very, very good on his line. So it will be difficult to beat him. I think in the goals market, this might be an unders game, although the line is pretty low. Under 2 goals here in 90 minutes is minus 104. If that had been a bit bigger, I would have looked at the goals market. But yeah, weighing everything up, I think Switzerland have got a very good chance here of matching Italy in terms of how they play over the 90 minutes, and that's not really reflected in the prices. So Switzerland are my pick on the Asian handicap, plus 0.25, and it's minus 132.
Yeah, I think this one might be my favourite play of the round of 16. I just want to oppose an awful lot of favourites as we go along for these games, Steve. I don't know how you feel about it. I mean, James mentions the goals as well. I mean, unders is very short, but the standout here is just trying to get with Switzerland and get against Italy. What do you think?
That seems to be the narrative. No one wants to back Italy here, which that's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, they're favourites.
The thing is, Switzerland, this is a weird mentality for Switzerland. They're the underdogs with the bookies, but everyone fancies them to go through. I think Switzerland played better when no one gives them a chance. Like first match, everyone was saying Hungary are going to win. Everyone thought Germany were going to turn them over. Yet they didn't deliver against Scotland when they were heavily favoured. They're a weird side, Switzerland. I can never work them out. I think this will be a draw. I think there's a very good chance of it being 0-0 inside 90 minutes. The goal line is Asian under 2. I nearly had that as a play, but I mean, under 2 goal line isn't really my sort of thing. I think it's going to be a tight game. Remember the last time Switzerland were in a knockout phase game in a major tournament, they got absolutely battered, 6-1 by Portugal. What have they learnt from that? Surely they're going to want to be a bit more tighter. And Italy have got a lot of experience down the years. This might not be a vintage Italy, but you can't underestimate them. They'll have belief from that. They've got a goalkeeper in very good form. They don't. If you offered Italy penalty kicks right now, I think they'd snap your hand off because Donnarumma is very, very good in shootouts. So I think this could go all the way. I do quite like the bet of James. Switzerland shouldn't be plus a quarter. I think it should be a complete pick-em, this one, really. But don't underestimate Italy over the whole potential 120 minutes. That's all I'll say.
Saturday 3 p.m. is Germany versus Denmark. Germany minus 167, Denmark plus 525. Group A winners, Group C second, of course, here. Germany, biggest price they've been on the money line in the tournament so far. I think they've been unchanged in every single game here. And Denmark haven't managed to win a game, but they are through, courtesy of all those draws. Both of our handicappers have got plays here. James, we'll go to you first of all. I thought it was a little bit of a reality check for Germany against Switzerland after 2 pretty easy performances, certainly against Scotland at least. How are we tackling this round of 16 clash?
Yes, I'm back in Germany here on the Asian handicap, Dan, minus 0.75, which is available at minus 136. So with this pick, if Germany win the game in 90 minutes, you're going to make a profit, small profit if they win by 1 goal, bigger profit if they win by 2 or more. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It was a reality check in a way, that game against Switzerland, which they failed to win. Possibly no bad thing as the host nation. I think it stops the country getting carried away after 2 relatively easy and quite impressive wins in their previous 2 matches. So should help the Germany players and camp in general to maintain their focus. Should mean there'll be absolutely no complacency going into this game. So more of a blessing than a curse, really. I think, yeah, I understand the point you made on the previous one about opposing favourites in this round because lots of the favourites haven't played well. I just feel that Denmark are not actually the toughest opponents in the world. I think obviously they got the draw against England in the group phase. My view on that was that England made Denmark look better than they are by playing so poorly.
England can do that.
Yeah, they can. They've done it quite well, haven't they, this tournament? Was not especially impressed with Denmark, actually, in their other 2 group games, which are potentially more revealing about the strengths and weaknesses of the side. They certainly haven't created a huge number of chances or taken them either. So I think Denmark, we know what we're going to get. They're an experienced tournament side. It was one of the narratives, wasn't it, before the tournament, that they're maybe too old. They've sort of countered that a little bit by doing okay and getting through. But I think actually we might see that narrative come back here. I think a Germany side who will be a little bit regenerated on the back of that draw. They'll have refocused and ready to go again now that the knockout stage starts. So I think they'll take some stopping here. I suppose the other point to raise here, and this is against Germany, is the defence is a slight concern. Obviously, Tar is suspended and Rudiger, as we're recording now, has an injury problem. That would be a concern if both of the centre-backs were out for Germany. It obviously make them more vulnerable. But I still think they should have enough going forward to win this game. I think they'll be really positive. We've seen that they're quite comfortable being positive in this tournament, being expected to make the players they were in their first 2 group matches. So I'm happy to back them here. You need them to get the win in 90 minutes for this to pay out, but I think they'll do that. So Germany on the Asian handicap are my pick.
Steve, you've got a prop bet play for us in the same game.
I'm going with over 9.5 corners in this game, Dan. Denmark are a team that I really have followed for several years now for corners. They have a really strange knack of obtaining a lot of them. I think only Belgium averaged more corners per game in qualifying. Already at this tournament, we've seen them out-corner every team that they've been involved in. Even out-cornered England, racked up 9 corners against Slovenia match day 1. I think it was 8 against Serbia. Germany have also been really racking up the corners significantly, and one of the main reasons for that is because they shoot so often. Germany averaged nearly 20 shots per game. Now, if you shoot a lot, and they are a free shooting sort of side, they're not that willing to be as patient as some other nations. The more you shoot, the more chance you've got of corners. Simple as that. Deflections, blocks, saves, whatever. So I think I still can't always work out why the Danes have so many corners, because they have sort of wide players are often invert inside. But this year, for example, Mahler's been coming on the left-hand side, and he's a naturally left-footed player, so he's been getting more wider to the byline. He's been nicking corners that way. I think it'll be quite a decent game. I think I could see a few goals being scored here. I think ultimately Germany will be too strong. Denmark, I don't know why they were played for the draw in the last group game. They could be playing Slovakia now if they'd actually gone for that. Baffles me. And now they're in a position where the draw is the route's just too hard for them. And I think Germany will get the job done here quite well. Quite a pulsating game. Germany are an exciting watch, aren't they? You know, they're not just going to bore the place out. We're going to get a bit of end-to-end football. Denmark will rack up corners here. They play for them quite a bit. Over 9.5 corners from me, Dan. And I think if I do a correct score here, I'd be like 3-1 to Germany.
Could you play Denmark on a corners match bet? I mean, just looking at some of the handicaps there, you can get a 2-0 start at around about even money. Would you take that sort of bet, or are you just looking for corners full stop? I think Germany contributes to the corners as well. But I mean, Denmark, most corners would have appeal because we both think that Germany are probably going to be heading this game at certain points of it. And teams will sit back a little bit and invite Denmark on. So that could be a game state situation would help Denmark. Like I say, they just have this knack of racking up the corners, Dan. They were about the only team in the last World Cup who got any corners from me. If you remember the corners bet I was on in Qatar, I was gutted when they got knocked out. That is Denmark. We're looking for corners in their game against Germany. We're also looking for a good Germany win to get James's play over the line. Sunday, midday, England take on Slovakia. England minus 240, Slovakia plus 800, draw plus 350 here. It's midday on Sunday, Eastern time. I mean, Steve, no one in their right mind is betting England at minus 240. I mean, they could win 3-0 easy. They could win easy. We know that. But nobody in their right mind is backing them at minus 240, are they? Are they?
I think England... England, if I was to have a bet on the game, I'm not going to have a pick here, but I sound a bit like Nigel here, but England win 0 is the one, isn't it? Minus 117, though, so it's not exactly the most eye-catching of prices. This is going to be a poor game. I just don't see it being any different to how England matches have been in this tournament. Slovakia, we know how they're going to set up. They'll try and do what they did against Belgium, park the bus a bit, nick a goal, frustrate them. And they're not going to offer much, Slovakia, here at all. They're going to offer very, very little. I can't really see them scoring, can you, really, in 90 minutes?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I'd want to be with Slovakia. I mean, James, I listened to a podcast last night and they were suggesting that, well, England are better against the better teams. Well, Slovakia ain't a better team. It's going to be exactly the same as the Serbia game, as the Slovenia game. I mean, I'd want to get with Slovakia somehow here.
Yeah, do you know what? For me, Dan, this is a no bet on all markets. Honestly, I really think people might be tempted, especially if they're England fans or they like some of the players in England teams are obviously big names. For me, when there's a big difference between a team's potential and the team's output in a tournament, for me, it's a no bet. And we've got exactly that situation with England, probably more than any other team in the tournament at the moment, actually. We know they've got potential. As Steve has said, they could win this to nil, could win it 3-0. Wouldn't be a huge surprise if they did, but it also wouldn't be a huge surprise if it was 0-0 and went to extra time. And I think the difference between the potential and the actual output we've seen from England in this tournament is so big that you just do not know what you're going to get. And for that reason, for me, this would be a complete no bet across all markets.
Any last thoughts, Steve, on this one? England to nil, very minor lean for you, would you say, or just leave it alone?
Yeah, England to nil would be I mean, Slovakia not to score is -141. So that's something you could look at. That's inside 90 minutes, by the way. We must make that point for all these bets that we're doing, unless something different pops up. It is only 90 minutes. Extra time will not count for these bets or picks. But I mean, this is another one where I'm looking potentially at the corners, because England haven't been a high corner team in this tournament, but we know they can really rack them up sometimes, especially if they feel the need to get on with the job. So I think the England corner handicap could be well worth looking at here. I don't see Slovakia really venturing into England's half that much in this game. It's not going to be a great watch. It's going to be a boring sort of affair. England 1-0 or 2-0.
Spain versus Georgia is Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Spain short price and how? -455. Georgia biggest price of the round of 16 teams at 12-1. Obviously, they shocked Portugal at double figure odds pretty much. This is Group B winners versus Group F third place. Spain the only team to win all three games, as James mentioned earlier. Georgia's only win against the rotated Portugal side, if we're feeling not very charitable with that Georgia win. We've got picks from Steve and James. Steve, you're looking at goals here. It's interesting because I don't think we had the bet in the end on the props market where you wanted that Georgia group to produce the most goals. I'm not quite sure if it did or not, but there was quite a lot in it. And they've been fairly exciting to watch. And you're looking at goals for this one.
Yeah, I did take Georgia goals over 2.5, so that cashed.
That's right, yeah.
And the group, I think, was level with another group, off the top of my head.
Germany in the end,
the German group, possibly. Yeah. I do like the goals here. Over 2.75 goal line is -129 now at the time of recording. I think it might go closer to the Asian line of 3, and I would still take that because I think there's a minimum of 3 goals in this game. Spain will probably score most of them. And I think Spain should win this quite comfortably, to be honest. But Georgia, I mean, they're a great story, aren't they? They come in here, they're absolutely giving it everything. And I don't think some minnows will just, like Slovakia, for example, against England, will just park the bus. Time waste and everything. Georgia don't seem to have that mentality. They're here to enjoy themselves. They're going to have a good swing, give themselves some sort of puncher's chance. And their best 2 players are in attack, Kvaratskhelia and Mikatadze. So why would you not try and use them to your advantage? And the only way they're going to do well in this game is by those guys contributing. They're not going to hold Spain to a 0-0 draw. In qualifying, they got absolutely battered by them twice, I think. 7-1 was one of them. So Spain, and the other thing is Spain played the best football of any team in the group stage. They've had a nice little rest here. Players have rotated in and out. And it should be, I think, fairly straightforward win for Spain. I think Spain can score 3 on their own, possibly 4. But I do have a feeling Georgia might contribute. So that's why I prefer the over. I'm not going with both teams score, yes, because if Spain completely dominate, then it could be like a 4 or 5, even 5-0. But I do think Georgia can give it a go here. The likes of Mikatadze, Kvaratskhelia might be worth a nibble any time or shot on target, because they will get some opportunities here. They're just going to go down. They're not going to die wondering, Georgia. I think it'll be a good game. A bit of a shame for them that they're facing Spain. I think they could have really given a poorer nation a run for their money here, but this is just beyond them too much. Over 2.75 goals for me is my official pick.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm getting really triggered with a lot of people discovering Mikatadze over the course of the last couple of weeks, because if they were listening to our show over the course of the last year, of course, one of James's favourite players for shot on target that cashed week after week after week for Metz in Liga. You've steered away from him, James, when it comes to this game. But, I mean, he's got half a chance, I guess, maybe, of getting some sort of place money for top goal scorer. But you've got a bit creative with your pick for this one, James.
Yes, I'm going on the corners market on this game, Dan. I tend to agree with what Steve said. I think Spain should win this game. They've got too much quality. I think fatigue is a big factor on this game. It's a fairly quick turnaround, this, for Georgia, after a very emotionally draining night to qualify. 4 days later, only 3 days of rest. They're playing in this match. So it's going to be tough for them against the Spain side, who were able to rotate so heavily in their final game. So I think that will be a factor here, and Spain should run out winners. But looking across all the markets, yeah, I'm going for the corners here. So the pick is Spain to have the most corners in both the first half and the second half. Put that in a parlay, and it pays out at minus 117. Reason being, if you look at the corner stats on these two sides of the tournament, massive difference. So far, Spain are averaging a corner supremacy per game of +4. And Georgia are currently losing on a corners match bet across their games at more than 5 corners a match. They've conceded 27 corners of Georgia in their 3 games. So a real difference. And I think actually, if you look at the teams tactically, it makes a lot of sense. Georgia do play a 5-3-2, but it's very narrow. Steve's mentioned the 2 guys they've got up front, who are their 2 best players. We know Kvara can drift out wide for them, but he tends to come in rather than go outside to win corners. Mikau Tadze is really a central striker. They don't get a great deal of width in the advanced areas of the pitch, so they're not winning a lot of corners. And I think if the wing backs go one-on-one against Spain here, I think Spain are going to come out on top and either get the ball into the box or win corners. So I think that we're going to see a lot of wing play from Spain. They're going to create chances and win corners in those areas of the pitch. So if you back them on a parlay here to have most corners in the first half and the second half, I do think it will pay out. And one final point on the corners, as Steve has said, these two sides did face each other in the qualifiers. Spain won both games in a corners match bet, 9-3 in one of the games and 6-2 in one of the other games. So way ahead of Georgia in terms of corners won and conceded. And yeah, if you look at the match markets, I think Steve's got the goals covered. It should be a high scoring game. If you're looking for a different way to play, I think corners is the way to go and to get on Spain to beat them in the corners market.
Just add one
Good
thing.
analysis.
Just add
Love
one
that
thing
one. Go on,
here.
Steve.
Yeah, Georgia have conceded an average of nearly 24 shots per game at this tournament. And this could get ugly, you know. I think Spain get the job done here in the first hour, and they might ease off in the last 20 minutes. But it's going to be an absolute avalanche from the Spaniards, isn't it?
We hope so, from our betting portfolio point of view. Let's get to Monday's games. First of all, midday Eastern, France against Belgium. France minus 107, Belgium plus 375. Runners up in D&E going head-to-head in Dusseldorf here. Quick thought from both of you here. You've both steered away from having a pick. Why is that, James? Any sort of angle at all? Any lean that nearly forced its way onto your account? What do you like or dislike?
Yeah, I did nearly have a lean here. My lean on this game would be under 2.25 goals at minus 129. The only part of the France team so far that's worked has been the defence. Mike Magnon's been excellent in goal. I think William Saliba's been the other impressive performer for France. Those two, their best 2 players for me. They've got problems down up front. I think we've seen Griezmann dependency, I would call it, for France. He's coming to the end of his career. When he's out of sorts, as he has been in this tournament, France become very average in the opposition half. So I wouldn't back them for goals. One other thing I would flag up, there's no cards market available on BetRivers as we're recording this. That may appear before the game. There's a lot of bad blood between these two nations, going back to the 2018 World Cup semi-final that France won 1-0. I think Belgium, it's obviously a different set of players, but they felt they possibly deserved to go through. So I'd have a look at the cards markets, maybe some of the French midfielders, Tchouaméni, N'Golo Kante, Camavinga off the bench could pick up yellows. It could be quite a spicy game. But I go low scoring as a lean, but not enough value in the markets on this game for me to have any official picks.
Steve?
A little bit disappointed that France minus money to win inside 90 minutes. If they were a good price on a minus a quarter handicap, I think I would be on them, because I actually don't like this Belgian team. I've decided. I think I don't think they've coached particularly well. Tedesco's got a great reputation, but I think he's picked the wrong players. Why is Lois Openda hardly get any minutes? He looks the most effective player when he comes on. Lukaku isn't firing. No team with Wout Weiss at the back is going to convince me. I don't know what price he is for an own goal. He's the sort of calamity that will happen to him. In a big game, I'm France all the way. I know France haven't played that well in this tournament yet, but I'm not trusting the Belgians. Why did they not show more intent to avoid this matchup? Like, seriously, they could be...
That's got to you, hasn't it, Steve? That's one of your bugbears of the title.
It just doesn't make any sense. Even if they get past France, it's going to be a hell of a grind, a tough one. And then it'll probably be Portugal, and then probably Germany or Spain. They've done themselves no favours, Belgium, here. In fact, the tournament, for me, they're not going to go deep now. I think France will go through this tie. I don't know how they'll manage it. Bit disappointed that they're so short, but the books aren't stupid, are they? I don't trust this Belgium side. The rhythm isn't quite right. They might show moments where they look good, but I'm not having it. I think France will get through here. I'm going to say 1-0 France in 90 minutes.
Portugal-Slovenia is the later game on Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Portugal are minus 245, Slovenia plus 750, draw plus 370 at time of recording. Portugal obviously top their group, James, but maybe their squad is not as deep as we all thought that they were. I don't know. Maybe there was just a little bit of a drop-off because they knew that they were through. What are your brief thoughts on Portugal-Slovenia?
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it, that last game? Because they obviously rotated. We all felt they had great squad depth. I think, if anything, it's probably made up Martinez's mind that he got his team selection correct from the get-go in the first two matches. Not enough players who came in would have given him a selection headache, I think, going into this game. So they still look strong to me. I think they'll benefit from the rotation in that final game. It means they'll be very fresh. And they should go through here. I quite like the look of Portugal still in the outright market. I know obviously at Bet Rivers we've got a couple of our guys who've backed them since the tournament, before the tournament began. But looking at the prices generally, they look about right to me. I think Portugal are minus 103 on the Asian handicap line with a minus 1.25 goal start to win in 90 minutes. Sounds about right. They should get the job done in 90 minutes. It could be 1 or 2 goals. Slovenia, I felt, were pretty good against England. They used the ball quite well. I think in less dangerous areas of the pitch, they looked fairly confident and comfortable in possession. But what would concern me here about Slovenia is whether they've actually got a threat up front, whether they've got enough of a threat to actually challenge to win this game. And if they don't, will the manager really focus here on making them difficult to beat and almost play for 0-0 and see if they can nick something? So if I had a lean on this game, it would be the unders. I think under 2.5 is minus 125, but it's a bit like the England game for me. This is one where nothing really stands out, so I'd rather take a watching brief on this and leave the markets alone.
Steve, any minor leans for this one?
I could have easily had Portugal minus 1.25 as a play. To be honest, 2-0 feels about right, doesn't it? I think Slovenia have probably climbed their mountain now. I mean, they've got through. They saw the celebrations when they qualified. I mean, it's the first time they've ever done it, I think. Well done to them, brilliant. And, they weren't bad in the group stage, although it was a very poor group. England's group, wasn't it? I think there's a big gulf in class between the sides. Forget Portugal's defeat to Georgia. They changed the players. I mean, look at France in the last World Cup. They lost to Tunisia, didn't they? It can happen. When you know you don't need any points, it can be hard. I think Portugal show enough here. But one thing I'll say is they might be looking ahead. They know after this game, it's a really tough tournament. They won't want to be picking up needless yellows. They won't want to be expending energy, stuff like that. Players might be protected a bit. So I don't see this sort of match racking up the score big time. I think Portugal do enough, do the job. 2-0 feels about right, but the danger of a 1-goal win puts me off making the handicap as an official pick.
Tuesday midday, Romania versus Netherlands. Romania plus 650 to win this one. Netherlands minus 210. They were 650 to win the group, Steve. They did, even though we thought that they were going to come bottom of the section. Have you changed your opinion about Romania or not? Can you give them a chance against the Dutch?
I still think they're an awful side. Maybe one of the worst group winners ever. And the only reason they managed it is because of, Ukraine basically self-imploded in the second half in the first group game. That's why. Belgium should have beaten 5 or 6. I don't think they're very good. But equally now, would I trust a Ronald Koeman-led side as a minus 1.25 favourite? No. I don't rate...
are we saying that one of these, we're sort of siding with the favourites aside from Italy. Are one of these short ones going to get beat? Could the Dutch get beat?
I would oppose the Netherlands against nearly anyone else, but not against Romania. I think James actually tipped up the Netherlands to reach the quarterfinals.
Yes, James did, yes.
That really should come in from this point. But would I trust the Netherlands on a handicap? No, because it's been a while since they've looked like a unit. But they did see off the US quite comfortably in the World Cup, didn't they, 2 years ago? 3-1, I think it was. I don't trust this manager.
Well, look against Argentina, really.
Yeah, I don't. It's the manager that puts me off a bit. They find ways to self-destruct a bit. Romania are a big underdog here. No one's really going to give them a chance. I think there'll be very, very few who fancy them, and that might suit them. This is definitely a game I would not want to get involved in. I find it hard to believe the Dutch will get knocked out. I just do. Prediction 2-1 to the Dutch, maybe. It's a tough one.
I must admit, overs is around about even money, and I'm generally an unders better, but I think overs is. I think this one might go a little bit wild. I can see the Dutch winning 3-1. I'd play overs on this one. James, as we've mentioned, you've got a vested interest for our portfolio in this one anyway. Would you want to press up on the Dutch at minus 210?
Yeah, no, not for me, Dan. I think they've not really impressed, have they, the Dutch? They're not lucky to get through. Obviously, third place teams going through gave them a chance of going through, but they didn't play especially well. I'm on them to make the quarterfinals, so I was very happy with this draw, to be completely honest. They could have had a far tougher draw in the last 16 than Romania. But no, the odds on the Dutch look, I wouldn't say on reputation. I think it's more based on the talent, actually, they've got in their ranks. They have, on an individual basis, attacked quite well at times. Cody Gakpo's looked good. Memphis Depay's looked good. I think they're going to rely on some moments of individual quality in attack in order to go through here. So I would expect them to go through, but I wouldn't be backing them to do it in any great style or necessarily in 90 minutes. I think one pick on the game that is interesting, and I would say is a lean for me, it's not an official pick, but a lean, is yes in the both teams to score market, which I was really surprised to find at plus money. It's actually plus 112 to have both teams to find the net here. And that's not actually down to any great quality from Romania that we've seen in attack. It's more because the Dutch have defended really poorly at times, haven't they? We saw them concede a really straightforward header in their game against Poland. They conceded 3 times and were pretty sloppy against Austria. So I wouldn't be surprised if that cashed. And as I say, plus 112 on both teams to score, yes, was a bit bigger than I was expecting. So that's a lean from me. But yeah, going back to the match market, I do think the Dutch are far too short here, really, to win it in 90 minutes.
Yeah, one of these favourites is going to go. I don't know which one it is, but there's going to be a surprise somewhere. The prices, when they were released for the last 16 matches, jumping around all over the place. One more game to preview. It's Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, and we have got a pick in this from Steve. It's Austria against Turkey. Austria minus 121, Turkey plus 360. Austria, of course, won the group at 8-1 or whatever they were. They are 18-1 to win the tournament now. I think Turkey have been a little bit fortunate in a few of their games, certainly the games that they've done well in. Steve, what do we like in this one?
Goals. Over 2.5 goals is my pick for this one. This is the game I'm actually looking forward to watching the most. I was speaking to someone last night, and I was saying, what's the bet for that one then? And the guy was like, over everything. And I don't think he's far wrong. I think you're looking at over goals, probably over corners, cards, shots, offsides, if for those who like to bet in that market, things like that. This could be a crazy match because Turkey play one way. They only had to play for a draw in the final group game, but they can't play for a draw. They come out off the front foot. They're so good to watch, this Turkish side. They're full of, I think they've got goals in them, they've got mistakes in them, they've got moments of brilliance in them. And this just feels like an end-to-end contest. I've seen Austria backed quite heavily. Suddenly the dark horse has become the proper dark horse. Really based on one very good performance against the Netherlands, which, well done, but how good are the Netherlands? You know, I just wonder if there's too many on this Austrian bandwagon now. That said, I think both will have looked out the window at this draw and thought, it's Christmas here, which is quite ironic, isn't it, with Turkey involved? But I think whoever wins this tie has got a very good chance of making the semi-final. Yeah, I'll take that card. I think Turkey could be. I mean, Turkey actually had a run to the semi-final. Was it the World Cup, Dan? Or was it one of the Euro? One of the
was it World Cup? Was it the one out in Japan and South Korea?
Yeah, 2002.
Turkey either seem to do nothing in tournaments, or they do have a mad decent run, and this could be the tournament. I think they've got. I don't know who's going to win it. I'm actually going to predict Turkey go through, but I think there's goals from both sides here. I really do. Austria are very well coached by Ralf Rangnick. They'll create opportunities. They'll get chances. I think the over 2.5 goals is a really good bet here. You could look at both teams scoring yes as well, because chances will be missed. But yeah, over everything here, Dan. This is going to be a wild ride and hopefully a great watch.
I think you could be right. The one thing that's stopping me opposing Turkey in this game, and I quite like Austria, I backed Austria on the outrights, is the crowd factor here, James. I don't know what's your take on this fixture, but Turkey are always well supported in Germany. When they play Germany in a friendly, it's never really a friendly. There's a huge support base, and they've been great games from a fan's point of view as well. I mean, any sort of angles in for Austria-Turkey for you before we get the best bets?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Steve. I think the overs is the way to play. I think, for me, the big lesson from Austria in the group stage was that you do not need a top-class goal scorer to score goals. This is a team who scored 6 goals in 2 games, actually, because they didn't score against the French. 5 different goal scorers. So the way they attack with real intensity, get a lot of numbers forward when the spaces open up has been a great tactic. I think credit to the manager for that. They've clearly seen that they can spread the goals around if they just get enough people forward. So I think we'll see a similar type of performance from Austria. I don't see any reason why they'd change it. You're absolutely right. The Turkish fans will be fantastic support for their team, something that the Turkey players will have to handle if they go behind in the game, whether they can maintain that as a positive support or it becomes a bit of pressure on their shoulders. So I would expect Austria to go through, but I'm not 100% convinced that they will. I think the goals, as Steve said, the overs in all ways is probably a better way of playing this. I quite like both teams to score yes here. It's a lot shorter than it is in some of the other games. It's minus 136. You'd expect that. So that would be my lean, but I think that's quite conservative. I think you could go overs and probably still cash here as well.
That's the round of 16 fixtures wrapped up. Let's get some best bets from the boys. Steve, what's your best play of your 3 picks for the games upcoming?
I think it's got to be that one. Austria-Turkey over 2.5 goals. One thing I forgot to mention, just 3 months ago, these teams met in a friendly. Austria battered them 6-1. Now, I just think, will Turkey learn lessons from that? Probably not, because they only play one way. So it's got to be the goals for me.
Goals in the Turkey-Austria fixture for Steve. James, what's your best play?
The Spain corners parlay. Spain to have most corners first half and second half against Georgia at minus 117.
I'm going to take one from James here. I think the Switzerland play on the Asian handicap against Italy, I've got to get with the Swiss. I think that is the best bet of the round of 16 clashes. I'm sure that everybody listening and watching will have their own, so please get in touch on our YouTube channel. I've been really pleased with the amount of comments that we're getting. If you fancy anything, let us know. You got any question for James, Steve, any of our cappers, make sure you put it on our YouTube channel. Many thanks to Steve and to James. Good luck with all of your bets and make sure you get your comments in via YouTube. Keep up to date with our Twitter feed as well at Because We Win. For now, though, from all of us, it is goodbye.